Thank you very much, Anders. Well, thank you everyone, and welcome to my session. I know it's been a long day. This is one, maybe the last one, and you have been in there all the time. So thank you everyone for all this event. I think it's been incredible. And in this session, I would like to talk about a topic that maybe it's not very clear about what is behind an avatar and digital identity, because the digital identity is more than an avatar. It's not an avatar. Of course, if we enter any virtual world, any maybe also 3D application, any gaming platform, anything of that, what people first see of us is our avatar. So that's why it's so important for us to feel that our avatar represents us, that we need that kind of customization. The more customization we can get, the better. That's because we want to, as in the real life, we want to differentiate one from another. We want to be unique. And in the metaverse, it's the same. We want to be unique. But it's more than just an appearance. There are many things that are behind that I just wanted to talk a little bit, and just feel free to ask any questions anytime. That's why I'm here, not just for telling things, but from hearing from you and learning also from you. Okay, let's start about a little bit about data identity. What are the features of characteristics of the metaverse products and services? Well, we have one that is persistence. All the spaces, all the objects, everything inside the metaverse or our metaverse platforms need to be always there. We enter one time, we create something, for example, we put it in the metaverse, and if we come back tomorrow, we want to see it again in there. We don't want it to be replaced or updated. We need that persistence in the metaverse. Maybe, of course, there will be updates, new things, but if we create something, we want it to persist in there. Immersion is another important thing, because you can enter that platforms in a 2D application in the screen, or through your Quest devices, or Apple Vision Pro, any device, that are too many in my opinion right now. But you can enter and have different levels of immersion. This is something also like the difference between AR, mixed reality, and virtual reality. Everything are extended realities, but just the difference is the level of occlusion of the reality. In AR, we go through our glasses or our telephones, and some elements in the real world are replaced or put over that real world. There are some small or not too many elements. When we go to mixed reality, that occlusion level goes a little bit higher, because there are many other things that are in the middle. You can interact in the spatial computing and everything that you have been hearing in these sessions. And if you go to virtual reality, then you have a 100% of occlusion. So I don't believe very much in the difference between augmented reality, mixed, and virtual reality, but because it's all an extended reality, and the only difference for me is the level of occlusion of the virtual things in the real world. Also, another point is synchronous interaction. I mean, when we enter to any platform, we interact with objects, with people, with them we talk, and that needs to be something synchronous. It's obvious, but it's one of the rules. You don't want to suffer from lag, from when you talk to a person and 2-3 seconds later you get the answer. You need to get that synchronous interaction that is really important for any kind of interaction in the metaverse. I will leave the avatar for the last point. I put it in the center because I think they are very important. Concurrency virtual worlds is also something that it's hard to achieve. A big concurrency is the number of users that are interacting simultaneously. But right now, there are many platforms because everything depends on the power of the device you are using. So that device has a limited power, and all that has to be represented in virtual reality is virtual scenario and avatars. So the coolest, the more bright, and the more great you want to create your virtual world, the less avatars you will be able to be there in concurrency. So that's something we need to put in a balance and get that balance. Authorship is another point really important about digital assets and the metaverse, because everyone in the metaverse can be or is a creator, as we're in the Web2 creators in different social media points. In the metaverse and we can call it the Web3, we are creators and we have the authorship of that creations. That's something really important about the metaverse and the integration with Web3 and blockchain. Interoperability. This is, for me, the philosopher's stone of the metaverse. How can we translate ourselves, our digital identity, from one platform or virtual world to another, and just not having to create an avatar, an account in every of these virtual worlds? This is what happens right now with Web2, that you can log in with Google, with your Facebook account, or you can create your own account. This is something that is crazy, because there are so many websites, so many accounts, and the same happens right now in Metaverse platforms. You create an account with an avatar for each platform. That's why we need the interoperability, and that's why organizations like Metaverse Standard Forum, OMA3, Open Metaverse Association, are working to try to find that that interoperability, or some guidelines to get to that interoperability. And the last point in here, right, the avatars. That is what everyone, the first thing that we see from other users in the metaverse. This is the appearance, and this is why it's so important. And apart from the appearance, that is really important, I will talk later about digital fashion a little bit also. We have some digital identity elements that come with us and with our avatar when we enter these virtual worlds. Of course, the avatar, the representation, but also the username, your profile information, all your virtual possessions, virtual asset that you own, all the activity logs, what you have been doing in that metaverse. We know that metaverse platforms, virtual worlds can track what we are doing. So everything, our activity logs, everything comes with us. It's a part of our digital identity. The reputation also depends on how we treat other peoples, and there are many factors that involve, but the reputation is something like trustness, how trustful you are for other users, for other metaverse users. It's really important. The achievements also come with you. When you go to a virtual world, you can get some achievements, some achievement more or less, that you can carry from one world to another. Of course, there is also a virtual currency that is related to your digital identity. When you create our Web3 wallet, you can then trade, buy, sell, anything related to cryptocurrencies. And that virtual currency, maybe it's just an Ethereum, Bitcoin, or a virtual currency that is just special for the platform that you are interacting with. So these are a little bit those digital identity elements that I wanted to talk about. So let's go to digital fashion. That is a really, really interesting world, because all the garments or everything digital fashion that we can buy for our avatars, because this is the way we can differentiate ourselves from other users of virtual worlds. I remember back maybe 20 years ago with Second Life, that the users that were playing more years or were more involved, just they were changing every time their appearance. And it was really easy for us to know who was a newbie because he was with the default settings of the avatar. So we know, oh, this is a newbie. So you don't want people to feel that you are a newbie. You want to be unique and be differentiated. That's also the status symbol because when users see you that you are not with the standard avatar, they see that you are someone that knows about the metaverse, knows about the platform, and that gives you a bigger status in there. And another good thing of digital fashion is that you can buy just, well, many kids right now are asking for money for clothing, but it's clothing for the avatars. It's something really really interesting how it is working, how it is going to with the young generations, what they are doing. But you can also buy those elements, those garments, that digital fashion for your avatar and for yourself. That's what is called digital. That is a really interesting point, and that I think it has an incredible big roadmap for in the metaverse. There are many companies that are, well, as you know, like Nike with Artifact, with all those shoes in Roblox and any other platforms. But there is a key that it's not working right now, that it's interoperability, because you create that digital fashion just for one platform. There is still no standard for creating that digital fashion for all the platforms or all the avatars. And how you get this digital fashion for your own? How do you know that this is yours without being able to or needed to trust in third party companies? Well, that's what why there are the wallets. The wallets in Web3 can be hot wallets that can be you can have with one company like in MetaMask. They can control you. You can give control of your wallet to another to a company. But I think that this is all a matter of trust. And the I think the best way is that you own your own NFTs, maybe in a hot water wallet, but also in a cold wallet. Maybe you need to have the real ownership of those NFTs that come with your avatar. That they are not just digital fashion, but anything related to your education, to your jobs, your experience, anything like that can be minted in the blockchain and can be linked to your digital identity. That's when we have the point. This is all kind of information that can be related. And this is a very interesting point that I have been discussing with many people, that when you buy an NFT, for example, like an NFT of a digital fashion, a very good sneakers, for example, you in the NFT that you have in your wallet, it only points to a third-party server where the real asset is. So, okay, you just get a certificate that this NFT belongs to you, but as it's stored in a third-party server, it can be the IPFS, the Interplanetary File Server, or anything like that. But you don't have it. It's in possession of a third party. So what happens if someone enters in that third party server, maybe can delay it, someone hacks it? It's not really yours. Maybe you can have a really good Bored Ape Yacht profile in your digital identity, and maybe one moment it can be an 404 error that there is nothing in there. So that's why I wanted to talk about the importance of being the owner of custody of your NFTs, because otherwise you are just trusting in third-party servers that anything can happen in there. Let's keep going a little bit about the key point, the interoperability. That I think that it's as I told you before, the philosopher's stone of the metaverse. It's what will let us build those fluid and seamless transitions between different virtual applications, virtual worlds, virtual platform, whatever you call them, but please don't call them metaverses. That's the only thing I will ask you. And without having to create an identity in each of them. This is something really difficult to achieve, but it's something we need to aim for because I think it will be the key. Many factors will arise. Many companies will have their own willingness to have what is called wallet gardens, that they just want to have their own technology for avatars and for digital garments. But I think that the interoperability is the key. That's why initiatives such as Metaverse Standard Forum, OMA3, I don't remember exactly the name that in recent last months I think I can have appeared, and Apple is inside, so that is something really interesting. Are trying to develop these standards. They are not trying to impose any kind of standard. That's something that I wanted to also to let you know. They are just providing some kind of suggestions of how that interoperability should work. And then it's up to the companies to follow those guidelines or not. Currently, for example, the most interoperable avatar creator platforms, there is one that Ready Player Me, I think everyone knows about it. There is also Union Avatars, a Spanish company that is doing a great job around the avatar creation and interoperability, but are all based on file formats. For example, FBX, GLB, VRM, but I wanted to point you one thing in here that is from something I like to think a little bit out of the box and think why we are trying to work just with file formats. If we create an avatar and we have a file format, we have a determined body shape or avatar shape that maybe if we create it in Ready Player Me, everyone of us knows how it looks like. Maybe it can work perfectly in one platform, but maybe in another platform, it's not working as the experience creators wanted to have users experience. I mean, if we just stick to file formats, I think we are making an error. I think we should translate that 3D mesh into some small metadata that talks about, okay, you have green eyes, you have this kind of hair, you have this kind of clothing, and then just translating them into this metadata for the different virtual worlds to be able to convert that metadata in the creative avatar that matches the creativity of that virtual world. I don't know if I have explained very well because it's something not that companies are not doing, but I think that it's an important and interesting approach to be able to translate all those 3D images of the avatars into metadata that can be read differently and become in different shapes in different Metaverse platforms. But every time it will be you because the basics are exactly the same. It's just the appearance that can be much more related and perfectly matched with the creative experience that the creators want us to get in their virtual worlds. Okay, let's keep on with what we are doing when we enter with the avatars in these virtual worlds. Our digital footprint. Well, also through Web3 and these wallets and our digital identity, we should be able to decide which of our data we share. There are many other kind of information, data that we're not aware that can be recorded in the different virtual worlds that we visit. This is an important thing that nobody that is doing, neither do I must admit it, is to read the guidelines or what is doing that Metaverse platform with your data. so that you know exactly what they are recollecting, what they are doing. Because, for example, with these virtual reality devices, they can track anything. They can track how much time your eyes are pointing to an object. What are you? How long have you interacted with another object or another person? So, person, avatar, we don't know exactly right now, but there are so many things that can be tracked and recorded that we need to be really conscious about what we are sharing in these platforms. Every moment, everything we do is something that should be our own. And if we want to share it, we should know that we are sharing it. So and here arises another question for me that in another speech I made, a person that was in the session just asked me that question. What about an incognito mode for entering a virtual world? I think it's a good idea because why do I have to give all my data to a virtual world if I don't know how is that virtual world? If I don't know, yeah, maybe I have seen some screenshots, some videos, some blog posts, some information, but wouldn't it better for the users to be able to explore a little bit, maybe with less capabilities of the platform, without the ability of connecting to other people, but just for the users to know, okay, this is what this Metaverse platform virtual world offers me. I want to share with them my data, so I will enter with my user, or no, I don't feel like it suits me, so I will go to another platform. That's something that can be also taken in account when we are creating virtual experiences, virtual worlds, and platforms. So let's keep on with what we need to also take in account about privacy and security of our digital identity. I mean, what we are sharing. We need to be very aware of data privacy. Also in the metaverse, cyberbullying can be really dangerous for young people. There can also be frauds and scams, intellectual property theft. If you enter a platform that you don't know very well, but there can be malwares and viruses. There can be identity theft. So when we create a metaverse platform, a virtual world, we need to be really or take a lot of attention for these things not to be able to happen, because we want the better user experience. If a user finds some of these points in the platform that they are entering, yeah, for me as a virtual world creator, it's one of the worst things that can happen to a user. So that's why we need to be very aware of all these things and try to avoid any option to be able. It's really difficult because the hackers and cyber delinquents are more clever than us, so they will find the way. But we need to try to minimize those possibilities. Okay, and here it comes a topic or a name that I have been thinking about lately. That it's the dynamic digital identity. Okay, for example, when we create an avatar, we can't mint it as an NFT, but if we mint it, it will have a determined features. What happens if you want to evolve? If I want to evolve my avatar and make my avatar a different clothes, change my hair, everything, what do I have to do? Will I have to mint again my avatar? The common sense tell us that this is not possible, not available. That's why in the Web3 world, I feel like the NFT of our avatar is just a base. It's like our DNA, and all the garments, all other NFTs that we can buy, the clothing, all the hairstyles, and anything related to that appearance of the avatar, should be dynamic elements. for our identity and need to be linked. I mean, if for myself, if I want to change my hair, I go to the hair stylist. In here, I can buy another type of hair and just link it to my NFT base, and then it's all in the blockchain in my NFT, and I don't need to mint any other avatar. Just the garments, the options I want to change. This happens also if your digital identity comes with your, for example, with your bank account. You can change your bank account. What will you have to do to mint again to recreate everything? No, you just have some dynamic elements that you can change, and they will be also stored in the blockchain, and they will be related to your base avatar. That's a point that I think it's really interesting about digital identity. Right now, digital identity, many people are trying, or many organizations in Europe are trying to regulate it, but it's also quite difficult. So I think that if every one of us give our idea or our insights about how should it be, that's how we will create the not the perfect, but the most open digital identity possible. I don't want to some because of some regulations not to be able to change my things. So I think that between all of us, this is the way we will get to it. And lastly, what I was talking before with Enders, that it's how do we know when we are with our avatar, we are interacting with another? How do we know who is behind that avatar? And we can't know right now. We don't know. We don't know if it's an artificial intelligence trained to guide us to perform certain actions. I mean, I know I am putting everyone in the worst part, but I just want to let you know about what can happen and what can we do to avoid these kind of things. So I think for that it's really important a credential system that can provide trustfulness about the identity of the users through the blockchain. So maybe it's just a number of trustfulness, something that says, okay, this person has created his avatar, his digital identity, and he has given us the enough information to know that this is a trustworthy profile or identity. So we have between 0 and 5, we have a 5 points trustfulness. But I see that in here, this other one, maybe because he hasn't wanted to show the to share the information or any kind, that has 1 point of trustfulness. Well, I will be talking with the one that has most trustfulness, that has more a bigger credential system. That's why I will feel safe when talking with them. That's also this identity through the blockchain. That's why it's really important. Also in here becomes the other part, because if we put all our things or our info in our transactions in the blockchain, as you know, anyone can trace and can analyze the transactions made in the blockchain. So where does our privacy stands in this point? There is there is security with the blockchain immutability versus our own right now it doesn't our own privacy. So that's something that we need to also leverage and balance really good about. And that was a little bit what I wanted to talk. I think I have been just in time. So, it's great. So please, if you have any questions or anything related you want to, I have talked about many topics, maybe too fast in some of them. But if you want to ask any question, just feel free. I would love to hear from you, really.